We are live. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Welcome back to the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you each and every week. Hope you're all really, really well. Tough weekend at the office for me anyway with Liverpool, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Marky's hoping to join us a little bit later. He just got a bit delayed, so we will take you through all the review of the action over the weekend and stuff like that. Let me know if you're all good. Eno's in the chat. Big up, Eno. Hope you're good, pal. Good. Just before we start the show, folks, if you could subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, and of course, drop a like on the video. It is the Monday mashup. It's Monday. We're here every Monday for you, 9 o'clock. Myself and Marky going to be bringing you the best of the Premier League action reviews and stuff as it draws to a close over the next few months. And of course, we had the Irish Premier League, the Premier Division, kicked off this weekend as well. Absolute madness. But yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comments as well. Get interactive in the chat as well, folks. We really appreciate it. Want to talk to you about this fantastic game that's coming up, of course. The Borough Legends and Tony Brown, of course, presenting Kelly's Heroes versus Premiership Legends in memory of Stephen Kelly, good friend of a lot of people involved in this project and stuff like that. And they want to do his memory justice, as they say. You can see the stellar lineup there that's confirmed so far for the Premiership Legends. Absolutely fantastic. QR code up there in the left-hand corner if you want to scan it to get your tickets. Folks, you will not find better value in an event than you will through these charity matches, these events, everything else that Tony puts on, and the Legends 11 crew and stuff like that. Make sure you're going over as well. Make sure you're following the Facebook page and Instagram and all the videos. And we had an update from me and Hart there over the weekend that went up on all the channels and stuff like that. So make sure you check that out. There's also sponsorship opportunities still available. If you get in touch with Tony, he can walk you through some of the sponsorship options if you're interested in getting involved as a sponsor. If not, come along on the day, bring the kids. Marky will be there with the trophies. We will be there with the podcast, shooting footage, and we'll interview fans and everything like we always do with these games. It'll be a great day out. Great location, easily accessible for everyone. Great lineup of players. These guys are amazing on the day as well, folks. This is not like one of these kind of strict kind of meet and greets and stuff like that. This is, you're there to have a bit of fun with these guys, chat to them about the matches, chat to them about the memories that they created that still jogs your memory to this day and stuff like that. Great mix of players in there. I'm sure there's more to be announced as well. But going to be a phenomenal day overall. We got the meet and greet, we got the match. I think there's a gala dinner, there's all that kind of stuff going on. So get on board. The boys want to do this, the memory of Stephen Kelly justice as well on the day and stuff like that. It's going to be absolutely cracking. If you need any more information, let me know. It's not a problem. I am always available to point you in the right direction. Right, moving on from that, we have, let's get into some League of Ireland. I thought I'd start with League of Ireland because I don't really want to talk about the Premier League, to be honest, until Marky comes along. He can give me his views on it because I was just steaming last night, just head loss at these decisions and VAR and all that kind of stuff. Big up, Baz. Hope you're good, brother. Thanks for joining us, as always in the chat, my bro. But yeah, where do we start? Where do we start with this? Nearly 21,500 attended the Aviva yesterday for Pats versus Bows. Did run out a draw, or 0-0. No goals, unfortunately, and stuff like that. But I want to make the point when we're talking about how the Irish Premier Division and how the league and all is progressing and developing and all this kind of stuff. That attendance yesterday in the Aviva outdrew 2 Premier League games at the weekend, which is phenomenal. And it was within 6,000 to 8,000 bums and seats of outdrawn 2 other Premier League games. So imagine that with another 6,000 in attendance yesterday. Potentially, we could have seen Pats versus Bohemians on the opening day of the season in the Aviva outdrawing 4 Premier League games in the UK. That's astonishing, isn't it? That's astonishing. Big up, Phil. Hope you're good. Phil, just back from Munich from the commemoration, I'd imagine. Very good, Phil. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we have to mention it, of course, that the Munich disaster and stuff like that. And our thoughts at this time always go out to our Man United fallen brothers and everyone and stuff like that and all. Mark should be along shortly, Phil. He got delayed, problem in the shop and stuff like that. So he'll hopefully be along shortly. Big up, Dell, boy. Hope you're good, my brother. Hope you're doing well. You're going to win the league, Dell. How are you feeling about it? You're going to win the league? What are you thinking? What are you thinking? Hope you're good, mate. Hope you and the kids and everyone's good, brother. Keep in touch. But yeah, that's massive. So it just goes to show you the power of the league. And I think one thing we have to talk about the Irish League. There's one thing that needs to raise in certain stadiums. If you want to go along with your kids and have a great day and stuff like that, you need to raise the standard of the basic facilities and stuff like that. So that's really, really important, So proper toilet facilities and all that kind of stuff and all. And that's really where the investment needs to be made, because to be honest, a day out at a League of Ireland game is absolutely quality. It's great fun and it's a real great shared experience, whether you're going with your kids or you're old enough to have grandkids or whatever it is. It's such a handed down tradition, and it's a great day out and stuff like that as well, So make sure when you can that you're supporting the league and stuff like that. They really deserve it, and they've come on leaps and bounds. And we'll also be following Division 1 and stuff like that, as well as those teams go to seek promotion, including my own local team, Bray Wanderers, on the back of the disappointment last season as well. Again, just falling at the final hurdle. Big up, Euro Joint are closing their stores. End of an era. It is the end of an era. Pound shop, Euro Giant. You know what I mean? Always a great shop to go in and get a few bits and stuff like that. Always had little quirky technology, little connectors and wiring and stuff like that as well. That was really cool that other shops didn't stock. But yeah, sad and thinking about all those staff and all losing their jobs and stuff like that, Dells in. I'm going with my two boys to Talca this Friday for Shells versus Rovers. Nice. I like that, Dell. I like that. So cool, isn't it? Such a shared event and stuff like that. And proper parenting as well, Dell, isn't it? You have to coax them along the right way and stuff like that, or they can get derailed by the football across the water, can't they? They can get derailed by that and forget about the quality that's right on our doorsteps at times. Yeah, very, very, very sad to see. Looking fresh. Thank you very much, pal. Looking fresh. Yeah, I had a kind of a trimmed the beard and stuff like that and all, and made the effort. And this is what we do. This is what we do here. Yeah, sad to see. Yeah, absolutely sad to see. Right, what did we make of it? Let's talk about this. I mean, we'll go back to Friday. Let's talk Friday. I'm sure Galway will be steaming at losing 1-0 to draw it at home, pinching it right at the dead garden with the winner on 90+1. But the amount of shots Galway missed firing, I think they had 11 shots or something off target, was absolutely insane. But Drogheda picking up the 3 points away from home. And I tell you, looking on the back of Galway United last season, how we followed them and stuff like that and all, not an easy place to go. And certainly not an easy place to go and escape with 3 points at times. They're very, very good down there. They've got a great following. Tough place to go. Drogheda will be delighted with that. That'll feel like a bonus to them. So big 3 points for them. But interesting, yeah. Galway just misfiring. They need to get out this week and do a bit of shooting practice or something like that. Get it back in and stuff like that. I'm going to see the fella in the green and white shirt. They'll be saying lots of fellas in green and white shirts this Friday with the kids, that's for sure. Let's take Waterford and Shelbourne. Shelbourne on the road. Martin starting off, giving them the lead 1-0 on 13. Lonergan again, picking up for Waterford as always. 55 minutes, giving the equaliser. This is one I didn't get to see. I watched some of the highlights and stuff like that. Very, very heavily weighted towards Shells, wasn't it? Really weighted. 68% possession. God knows how many shots they had. What was it in total? 24 shots versus 6. So very, very heavily weighted in Shelbourne's favour and stuff like that. And again, not dissimilar to Galway. They'll be disappointed to leave Waterford without maximum points first day of the season. That is for sure. Derry, of course, coming back after being down 1-0 against Sligo Rovers at the Brandywell. Of course, the McLean brothers back there again, all the talk about it and stuff like that. But an equaliser by Alex Bannon on 82, and then he became the provider for Thomas on 90+1. Again, it was the late show all this weekend, really, wasn't it? 2-1 Derry winning at the Brandywell against Sligo Rovers. They're going to redo the Brandywell, aren't they? I think Derry's next 4 games, either 3 or 4 games, I think, are all at home. And then they'll be moving out of there. Well, the Brandywell, I think they're getting a new pitch and stuff, aren't they, as far as I know? So we'll see what happens there. But a very, very, very interesting start. Obviously, Rovers and Dundalk was postponed, waterlogged pitch. The weather was horrific. To even have gotten the 3 matches, I think, was a testament to the league, really, with the weather that was out there. It was absolutely crazy. So that has to be rescheduled. And as we said on Sunday, Pats and Bohemians drawn just under 21,500 to the Aviva for their opener. Absolutely stellar stuff again. The league coming out in force to support it. That's what we want to see. Unfortunately, we got no goals, but that's just the way it is. So looking at the table at the moment, Derry sitting on top along with Drogheda on 3 points, followed by Shells, Waterford and Bows and St. Pat's. Dundalk and Shamrock Rovers yet to open their account with the game be postponed, and Sligo Rovers and Galway United propping up the table. I don't think Galway United will be there too long, that's for sure. Galway, I think, will be up in that mid-range again, certainly. As we said, a difficult place to go. Looking into the week coming up, we have the launch, obviously, of Division 1 is going to kick off as well, so they'll be chasing promotion. Which is so important for teams like my very own Bray. If you look at the fixtures coming up this Friday and then Saturday, you have Sligo Rovers and Bows. But again, good coverage there, Virgin Media too. I think they're going to cover games like literally every week of the season now, which is absolutely fantastic. And all the other ones are on the League of Ireland app, of course. So you got Derry versus Dundalk, Drogheda versus Waterford, Pats versus Galway, Shelbourne versus Shamrock Rovers, which is the plum toy that Del Boy said he's going to be at as well with the kids. Feels like nearly a title 6-pointer already, isn't it? Second game of the season, mad. And Sligo Rovers entertain Bohemians, so that should be interesting. Bohemians will want to put in a good performance down there and try and get 3 points on the board, of course. Shelbourne versus Shamrock Rovers is going to be very, very interesting to see how that goes. Shells with big plans and designs on doing very well this year, and again Derry as well doing a madness in the transfer window, of course, looking to do serious stuff this season as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on at home against Dundalk, of course, newly promoted. Let's see, really looking forward to seeing newly promoted Dundalk as well and see how they play. That's what's coming up on Friday in the Premier Division. Big up. How are you, Jack? Hope you're good, my brother. Big up, Niall. Hope you're well, mate. I'm spot on, Jack. I'm spot on. Had a good day so far. That's the main thing. Then you look at Division 1, and you look at Athlone versus Finn Harps. My own team, Bray Wanderers, Friday night against Longford Town. We'll try and get to that game, actually. We'll see. If I don't get to it, I wonder could I do? I might do a watch along or something like that. I'll see. I'll have to toy between the two. We won't commit to that yet. Culver taking on Wexford. Cork City are taking on Treaty United, and UCD versus Kerry. So that kicks off. That's on they're all Friday fixtures coming this Friday, the 13th of February, the eve of Valentine's Day. And of course, we have Sligo Rovers and Bohemians on Valentine's Day. Sure to break up a few couples. Bohemians on the road to Sligo Rovers, unless you're bringing the missus or the girlfriend away to Sligo for the weekend for Valentine's. Who knows what's going to happen there? Yeah, so that's just a quick rundown as well, and we will have a look at these. Wanted to talk about this guy, folks. This guy has done a stellar job. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but he's done an awful lot of work for charity and stuff through this process as well, and earned an awful lot of money from it for the different charities and stuff like that. But what are you thinking tomorrow night? West Ham and Man United, what are we thinking? Is this man going to get the haircut at this stage? I think he's around the 500-day mark or something like that at this stage. But is he going to get the haircut? And are Man United going to go 5 games? Can they go 5 games? Get this guy the buzz cut. I wonder what he's going to look like when he gets the buzz cut. You know what I mean? Because we're so used to seeing him with this mad barnet on him. You know what I mean? Worked for Kevin Keegan back in the day, that's for sure. But I don't know. Are we going to? Who else had a mad one back in the day for us? Craig Johnson, was it? Craig Johnson, yeah. Mad stuff. Mad haircuts back in the 80s and stuff like that. No, that's for sure. But let us know your thoughts on this. Are they gonna get it over the line, Man United? A lot of fans have been kind of against this as well, saying that it's just, it just adds a little bit more pressure. But I think if he's generating money for charities and stuff like that, hats off and stuff like that. He did have an altercation with a fan that we seen there a few weeks ago and stuff like that, and I think that fan was subsequently banned. I think so. Yeah, you don't want to see that happening. You don't want to lose your fandom of your club that you followed for years by getting into a skirmish over petty stuff that's really nothing, to be honest. Right, for our sins. I won't go near that yet because that's what's coming up as a preview. So hopefully Mark will be able to join us in a bit. We'll be able to see it. Right, so let me just bring up these fixtures from the weekend. And we started off Friday night, Leeds 3, Nottingham Forest 1. Started off quite an even match, say, for the first 15 minutes or so. Now, conditions were horrific. But all of a sudden, 2 quick-fire goals from Bogle and Okafor really put them on the way. And then a 49 Calvert-Lewin, a great goal as well. He's having a stellar season, isn't he? What a job Leeds are doing on this boy as well. Huge conversations, huge debate over his fitness and stuff like that and all. But they've done an absolute stellar job on him, keeping him fit. And he's playing really, really well up there for Leeds. Luca with the consolation on 86, but I think once the 3 goals went in, it was a non-event, really. It was just more and more Leeds, to be honest. And coughing up that consolation doesn't really matter, to be honest. But a big win for Leeds, big 3 points and stuff like that and all. And Leeds continuing to do really, really well. But the problem that they're having is they're being matched by the teams below them at times as well. So it's more difficult to kind of create that gap. Keith, do we need to talk about that Liverpool game? Christ, we do need to talk, and we will be talking about it. I kind of wanted Mark to talk about it as well because, it's hard for me at times to unhinge my bias, because I'm a Liverpool fan and stuff like that and all. So I wanted to get Mark, who didn't really have a card in the game, to give us his thoughts on it and stuff like that. It was just crazy. And, the weird thing about it, we will talk about it. I think first half, I think the ref was all right. I think he was letting the game flow. I don't think he was interrupting it. Second half, you get the usual stuff again. Hang on a minute. I'm not the star of the show, so I'm going to become the star of the show. And that's what was really disappointing about it. But we will, Keith. We will get to it. There's no doubt about it. We're just on Friday here talking about Leeds. So, yeah, for Leeds at the moment, I'd say Leeds would have thought that maybe at this stage they would have had more of a gap. But they haven't been able to create that gap for various reasons and stuff like that and all. So, but yeah, we will be talking about Liverpool, Keith, that's for sure. So we go into Saturday then on the lunchtime game. This was a game I was quite excited for. I wanted to see how Michael Carrick would tackle, up against Tottenham and stuff like that. Maybe give them some sort of a game. I expected Man United still to win, to be honest. I know there's been different results over the years and stuff, recent times and stuff like that between the two. But I did expect Man United to win. Spurs missing a number of players and stuff like that. But just when you think it can't get any worse, the boy Christian Romero crops up with a madness and gets sent off. This is a guy, and we spoke about it. We put a short on the channel and all about it. This is a guy who's been preaching to the club about ambition, about spending more money, about signing players. This is the captain who can't even stay on the pitch. You know what I mean? You have to lead by example, So it was a kind of a weird one. And once again, he let his team down. I think when Spurs went down to 10 men, it was going to be very difficult. Obviously, Mbeumo, I think, was it? Mbeumo on 38 got the goal. And then Bruno took until the 81st minute as well to kind of seal the deal. You know what I mean? And there was 1 or 2 little moments like for Spurs and stuff like that, but reasonably comfortable and stuff like that. But I think Bruno with the goal took his goal very well. Looks like a refreshed player back in that 10 position as well, and then Mbeumo at it and stuff like that. And they're all generally, if you look around the United pitch, dare I say, even Diogo Dalot was starting to play a little bit better and stuff like that, who they wanted out the door. But they're on a run now of 4 in a row with West Ham left for this boy. Frank, I think, is his name. The United strand to get his haircut. So we'll see what happens there. Next up, we had Bournemouth and Aston Villa. This is one of the games that I spoke about where Bowles versus Pats outdrew this game, which is just phenomenal to think that a League of Ireland game would have a bigger attendance than a Premier League game. It's insane, isn't it, when you think about it? This ran out 1-1. Rodgers on 22 giving Aston Villa the lead. We did say this could be a difficult day at the office, could be a tough one and stuff. Bournemouth equalising with the new kid, Ryan, who looks absolutely amazing. And as far as I know, he was the one that Darren was waiting on us beat the bookie bet to score or assist, as far as I know. And Ryan came up trumps and scored. And Darren delivered a lovely 20-1, beat the bookie to score or assist. All of them came in. If you go back and look at the show, you'll see that they did it. Aston Villa kind of stumbling a little bit, so they're allowing Man United now to come into the top three and Chelsea to come into this top three. What's going to happen here? Are we going to have Arsenal and Man City going head-to-head in terms of the title? And then we'll have Aston Villa, Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, all vying for those positions. And right tied underneath, Brentford on the same points as us, just below us. Everton 2 points off us. And Sunderland just below us. So if Sunderland beat us, they will draw a level on points with us as well. Scary season so far for Liverpool. Scary season. Right, let's get into the next one. The next one we had was Arsenal versus Sunderland. Reasonably comfortable in the end. Took 42 minutes for them to break down Sunderland, which is props to Sunderland and stuff like that. Trossard with the assist, Zuba Mendy with a lovely finish into the bottom corner. Then second half on 66, Kai Havertz, of course, being the provider then for Victor Yerkes, who has gone in and is starting to look like the player that they signed. And Martinelli with an assist on 90+3 as well for Victor Yerkes, picking up a brace. Big game, 3-0. Felt like it could be a game where there could be a bit of jeopardy in and stuff like that. I thought Sunderland were really good up till the Zuba Mendy goal. I think once the Zuba Mendy goal went in, I think it was going to be difficult for them, especially at the Emirates. But yeah, then Burnley, West Ham picking up a big win away at Burnley. The boy Somerville picking up the first goal in 13 minutes, and Castellius on 26 minutes picking up the second. Real difficult day at the office for Burnley. I know Scott Parker wasn't too happy and stuff like that and all, had plenty to say. But a real tough day at the office for Burnley, and you know, they look like their race is run at this stage, 15 points. I don't think they've any chance of clawing back the 11 on Nottingham Forest, who are in free fall at the moment as well, along with Spurs and a few others. But looks like West Ham might have it in them to escape. So this is a massive game tomorrow night against Man United. West Ham can ill afford to lose it. So it should make for an absolute stellar match. Up next we have Fulham versus Everton. Fulham taking the lead on 18. Mikalenko with an OG. Leaving it late again. Everton, Dewsbury Hall on 75 and Leno with an OG on 83. Not good at all. Marco Silva won't be too happy. Will not be too happy dropping points like that to Everton at Craven Cottage. Remember, he's the old Everton gaffer as well. So he wouldn't have been happy losing out like that. And Fulham in 10th at the moment. Had an opportunity to go to 37. Everton leapfrogging them from 34 up to 37 as well, and into 8th position, 2 points off Liverpool, city rivals. There we go. Up next, Wolves and Chelsea. Palmer with a hat-trick here. The Cole Palmer is back and absolutely humming. Still being careful with him and stuff like that. There is apparently a groinal issue there that may or may not require surgery. I think they're trying to kind of babysit him through the season and stuff like that. But he's absolutely vital for Chelsea that he is on the pitch and fit, because when he's on the pitch, he's the guy who pulls the strings in there for Chelsea and stuff like that. He's the guy that makes things happen. 2 penalties, of course, not to be sneered at either, and then a goal on 38 as well. Rounding off the hat-trick. Became a non-event after 38 minutes, really. Wolves picking up a consolation goal on 54 minutes, but really, statistically, when you look at it, heavily weighted in the favour of Chelsea. Possession even 66 to 34. Wolves absolutely dead and buried at this stage. Round it out with the Newcastle game against Brentford, and this is one that we do have to talk about. What a job Keith Andrews is doing at Brentford. Did anyone predict this? I think Darren was the only one. I think we thought Brentford would struggle losing Thomas Frank and losing some key players and stuff like that. But Keith Andrews has gone in there and he has done a phenomenal job. If you've seen the defensive job they did, was it the other day against Aston Villa, last week against Aston Villa down to 10 men? They were absolutely sensational. Aston Villa nearly for 60 minutes couldn't break them down. But this finished out 3-2. Janelt Botman put Newcastle ahead. And then Janelt on 37 equalised. Thiago, of course, 45 plus 2 penalty. Ouattara on 85. Guimaraes had equalised on 79 with a penalty. Bruno Guimaraes. But Ouattara on 85 pulls the points for Brentford at St. James's. Huge conversations about the players. Huge conversations about Eddie Howe. Lots of stuff going on there at the moment. I don't know what way it's going to play out. Newcastle down at 12th at the moment. Looks like they're probably not even going to get a European place, let alone stay anywhere near the Champions League. But let us know your thoughts on that. How should Newcastle approach this? What are you thinking at the moment in relation to Eddie Howe? Bringing silverware there last season, has done a stellar job at Newcastle, but just a little bit indifferent this season with some of the players that have come in just not hitting their straps at times. Just a little bit indifferent. But form not good at the moment. And when you're dropping points like that up at St. James's, that's not a good sign. Let's move into Sunday, just because we have to. And we'll talk about Brighton Crystal Palace, the derby, the Dean Henderson knee slide into the corner. What is going on here? Ismail Assar picking up the goal at 61 minutes to seal the deal on this. Brighton again indifferent, losing the game at home. It's been the talk of their season, really. You just don't know which Brighton you're going to get, either home or away. They've really struggled this season. Lots of questions over the team at the moment. Obviously, Fabian Hutzler has done a really good job there at Brighton up till this kind of season, but now very much indifferent. Down at 14th with 31 points, a goal difference of +1. Very unlike the Brighton that we know. They've been much higher than that in past seasons and stuff like that, but really struggling this season to find the form that they've shown in the past, and losing games like this isn't good, especially when you look at Crystal Palace at the moment in a little bit of disarray. Players that were looking to leave, manager exiting the building, players who have left, lots and lots of stuff going on there at the moment. And Larson going in and stuff like that. McNeil probably disgusted he didn't get his move and all this kind of stuff going on. So Crystal Palace a mess at the moment. Brighton heavily disappointed that they would drop out 1-0 there at home at the Amex. And then we have to get on to talk about the Super Sunday. Where do we begin with this? Not an awful lot to talk about in the first half. I think Haaland had a pretty good chance when he broke through that time up against Alisson. But other than that, not a whole lot in the first half. Second half came alive. Liverpool came out certainly with a different impetus. You've seen the match reaction from me and all. It's on the channel. They definitely came out with a different energy and stuff like that. They were finding pockets of space against the Man City side, trying to open them up and stuff like that. They were moving the ball much quicker as well, which is something we spoke about in weeks, that they just don't transition and move quick enough when they pick up the ball. It's all slow and methodical and allows teams to get back in and stuff like that. But what did you make mainly at the end? And we'll talk about Szoboszlai obviously on 74. What a free kick. And Darren would perfectly describe, he said, Roberto Carlos. Shades of Roberto Carlos. It was a phenomenal free kick. I know that we're big fans of Dom, and I think most football fans, rivalry aside and stuff like that, would have Dominic Szoboszlai in their team, that's for sure. An absolutely phenomenal free kick. And I thought, here we go. You see me on the watch along. Thought, here we go now. We're going to get into our rhythm. And all of a sudden, you'll see on the watch along how it turned before anything even happened. I said, we're dropping deeper. We're trying to protect the 1-0 lead. We should be going for the juggler. This Man City team are wobbled. They're giving us space. And all of a sudden, we started coughing up passes. We started kicking balls away, started dropping deep and trying to protect the 1-0 lead. Something we should not be doing, because we haven't been able to do it this season. Why would we suddenly be able to do it against Man City? And then sneaks Bernardo Silva on 84 minutes. Lovely header. And Bernardo Silva comes in and scores the equaliser. Dom down the bottom playing him on. And again, this morning on the reaction show, I spoke about the lineup and various other things as well. And that, it's hard to throw shade at Dom. He's been our best player this season. You really should be playing up against the line, but right back is not his position. And I keep on barking on that we have a right back on the bench and we're playing a fucking player out of position who's our best player this season. It makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. I think Calvin Ramsey should have been in there. I think Dom should have been in the midfield, allowing Gravenberch to really play in that 6 and provide that protection. And also try and overrun a City midfield that's being overrun this season by bang average teams at times. We've seen what Spurs did to them the previous week. We should have been doing the same. We should have learned and we should have played from that. And I think the protection for Cody Gakpo at the moment, he's just not performing. Spoke about it and stuff like that. Trying to crowbar him in. And then supposedly going into right back and all the different changes. And this 4-2-3-1 or whatever way you want to look at it, it's unfamiliar to us. Players are lost in this at the moment. I think we need to go in with a right back in there, Dom back in midfield, and just play a front line if you want. Just go, Ekitike through the middle, Verts on the left, and Salah on the right. And let's go start playing a formation that we're familiar with, and that can reap benefits and stuff like that. And stop dicking around trying to shoehorn in players into different positions that they're not familiar with. You know what I mean? Because maybe they had one match where they played well in that position and we think, oh, maybe he's a right back or maybe he's a winger or whatever it is. You know what I mean? I think Cody Gakpo has been struggling all season. I think his play is quite predictable. And I think if you're a defender and you look at Cody Gakpo, I think it's pretty easy to mark him out of the game at times. And we continue to play it. And I think that's a real problem. Because crowbarring in one player, especially where he's out of form and not playing really, really well, and having to make other changes back through the team and change the formation just to allow for that to happen, I think is not a recipe for success. So I think we need to look at that, that's for sure. And I did mention it on the watch along as well. I'm not too sure the way this is lining up. This is the way to go. I don't think we're lined up and configured in a way that we can overrun that City midfield and bear down on goal against their defence, which has had huge questions against it. Let's be honest here. I only spoke to Darren this morning about how good Donnarumma has been and how many saves he has had to make compared to his PSG days or whatever it is, Phil, I did watch the Super Bowl. My God, it was just, do you know what it is, Phil? And I don't know if you're of the same vintage as me, but I listened to them announcing Peyton Manning on the pitch and Joe Montana. Now, I would remember Joe Montana from his 49 days against Jerry Rice. I would have been an NFL fan back there, the 49ers. I was a Washington Redskins fan at the time. And now I think they're called Washington Commanders or something like that. God knows why things change all the time, Sad. But however, yeah, I did watch it. I just thought from a defensive point of view, I thought both teams were pretty good defensively. But for those two quarterbacks, and I ask because I haven't been following the NFL really closely this season, but how did those two teams end up in the Super Bowl? And maybe I'm doing them a disservice. Maybe they've had a great season. And when you get to the big stage of the Super Bowl, it's kind of a bit crafty and a bit techie and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. But I seen two quarterbacks there yesterday could barely throw a pass completion. It was insane. And I don't know how many sacks I lost count of and stuff like that and all. It was just insane. And do you know what's jarring as well? I don't know. And maybe it's just because, I'm not deep into the NFL and stuff like that. But that running game and that fake running game that they keep on doing and stuff like that, I just find it boring and monotonous and stuff like that. And then when they did try and change it up with the throwing game, God, they spent more time just throwing balls out of play than they did anything else. Really poor. Let me know your thoughts on it, Phil. What did you think? That half time as well. Bad Bunny and Lady Gaga. Did you see the Kid Rock one? Kid Rock one was kind of cool. But Bad Bunny and Lady Gaga. How did we a few years ago go from Snoop, Dre, Eminem, 50 Cent? How do we go from this to Bad Bunny and Lady Gaga. Let me know. Let me know. It's insane. And it's always a big deal, isn't it? That halftime Super Bowl thing is massive. Massive. I would say, though, when people talk about iconic events on the calendar, 320 million people watched the Super Bowl, as far as I know, and 780 million people watched Liverpool Man City. That's the power of the Premier League. If you want to talk about something that's global, and I know a lot of people watch the Super Bowl and stuff like that, but when you're doing comparisons with the Premier League in terms of broadcasting and branding and reach and globalization is unheralded. Nearly 3 times the amount of people watched Liverpool Man City than they did the Super Bowl. And people talk about how big the Super Bowl is and stuff like that, you know. What was your thoughts on it, though? That was just my thoughts. It wasn't great. I fell asleep halfway through it. I missed Green Day. Yeah. I was kind of at 9-0, I think it was. Was it 9-0 at halftime or something like that? Yeah, I was just like, and normally I'd be up for it and stuff like that. And good Lord, the drop off in that Patriots team. Because you remember those amazing Patriots teams, you know, with Belichick and what's his name, Tom Brady and stuff like that and all. How does that, what's his name, Mavi, is it, or Mav or something? How does that guy be the quarterback for the Patriots? And again, I couldn't tell you a New England Patriots result or a performance this season. I'm an NFL guy. I love the Super Bowl and stuff like that. And I dip in and out of when I have time to watch matches and stuff like that and all. But I wouldn't be able to follow it. But I was looking at that game, and at halftime I was thinking, how the fuck did either of these teams get to the Super Bowl? And I don't know, because I didn't look at the playoffs, I didn't look at the semis or whatever it is. I didn't look at any of that stuff, so I don't know. If anyone's in there that knows, correct me if I'm wrong. Just looking from the outside in, I was looking at it going, I thought it was a Super Bowl. I thought at least that first half anyway was absolutely dross. Defensively, very, very good. 2 defensive teams, amazing. Both their defensive teams, really, really good. Did really good jobs and stuff like that. But offensively, absolute pony for me. Pony. Like when you can't even complete a pass. Remember a refrigerator for the Bears, I do. Remember him in WWE as well. Him and Lawrence Taylor. Remember Lawrence Taylor? I do. I remember it well. Chicago Bears, 100%. But yeah, so let me know your thoughts on this. Then we had a madness in this game, of course. Bernardo Silva equalized. Then we had the penalty. What did you make of the penalty? It's really weird because the narrative that came out was he was playing the man, not the ball. Alisson. Now, Alisson is a world-class goalkeeper. He was coming out, and you know, he's probably the best in the game on one-on-ones. If you look at Alisson saves one-on-ones, he's the best keeper on the planet one-on-ones. And he came flying out to save it. The player didn't quite get the contact on the ball. I think that Alisson was expecting. Ball went away out of play, clatters into the player. I don't know what you expect the keeper to do. The momentum is going to take you that way, isn't it? So I thought it was kind of a harsh decision as well. And I thought with the ball going out of play as well, I thought that generally kills the decision then, because the player isn't in control of the ball. The ball is gone, and it certainly was gone. But they kind of twist and move these rules around, don't they, as they go along? This week it'll be that, next week it's something different. Like, you think about it. You think about when Jordan Pickford flew out and did Virgil van Dijk's ACL. Need I say anymore? And we see it week in, week out. We see it week in, week out when those things happen, that those decisions aren't given. But this was just crazy. Haaland slotting the penalty away. I think it's his first goal in the Prem, isn't it, at Anfield as well? And I think out of 24 grounds he has played in the Premier League, what a record, he's scored in 23 of them. So Anfield he was able to tick off, which is a bit of a sickener. Just power on the penalty as well. It's not like he slid in into the corner. I think Ali expected him to go to the left, and he went to the right, left-footed, and it was close enough to Ali and stuff like that. But I think he was his weight was on the other side. I think he was expecting him to go to the Ali's left, and he went to the right. So it just happens, you know. And then at the end, Absolute madness. Allison goes up to try and rescue something, try and give an extra body up there and stuff. And obviously, the little bit of a breakaway and the shot and the ball that seemed to roll and roll and roll for an age. So Dom flies in. He's chasing it down. Him and Haaland, they have a scuffle. He fouls Haaland. Haaland fouls him back. In the meantime, the ball just rolls into the net. Dom is given a red card, but then the goal is disallowed for something like, I think they were saying like a foul in the build-up or something like that. So if VAR disallows the goal, and there was a foul in the build-up, is that not where you take it back to? And everything else after that is kind of irrelevant. That's how I'm reading it now, unless I'm reading it wrong. I thought that if the goal is disallowed, the player's brought back to that point. Because I mean, how many times do we see players clattering into players when it's over the sideline into the hoarding and nothing ever happens from it? You know, when the play is dead. So when that play is brought back, goal disallowed, foul in the build up to the goal, is that not then your starting point and everything after that is pretty much irrelevant? Now listen, I'm not saying if it's a boxing match or something like that. That's different. But what I'm saying is, this was two guys going at it, trying to get at a ball. Dom was trying to stop it going in. Haaland was trying to score to make it 3-1. And the ball just rolled into the net. Neither of them touched it. So if the goal doesn't count, goes all the way back to Cherky, what's going on then with Haaland and Szoboszlai? Does that not become irrelevant in terms of a decision? Let me know your thoughts. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. I can stand to be corrected. I would have loved to have Mark on to discuss it. He's in the finer detail of these things, stuff like that. But he even messaged me last night and he said that was an absolute fucking madness. And it was an absolute madness, that's for sure. And again, it just goes to show that, you know, Paulson as a referee, I thought in the first half, I thought he did okay. He was reffing the game. He was letting it flow. He was letting some tackles happen and stuff like that and all. But then second half, they just want to be the superstars on the pitch, these referees at times. The ref should have let the third goal stand, to be honest. It's absolute madness what happened. They really are killing the beautiful game. Well, I don't think the ref, if you look at the ref, Keith, the ref signaled for the goal, and it was VAR, wasn't it? Wasn't it VAR that called the goal off? So it's the re-reffing of the refereeing is what's causing the problem here and stuff like that. I think if there's no VAR there yesterday, I think City win 3-1 and there's no red card. That's what I think happens. I think once it goes to VAR, then VAR are trying to lay down the law of the game and the rules and all this kind of stuff and the interpretation as well, because sometimes it's way off. But what happens is we keep on finding these new situations that happen. And VAR is trying to make an interpretation of that because it might be something they hadn't seen before or an event that they hadn't covered before or something like that. And, you know, we've seen that even week on week, they can't keep it together in terms of a standard in certain decisions. So how are they going to get it right in terms of something new? So it was just weird. It was just a very, very weird ending to a game. Now, what I would say is Liverpool second half created enough chances to win that game. They just didn't take them. Ekitike was off. Wirtz was off. Salah was off. A lot of conversations being had over slot and stuff like that. And I get it. I fully get the slot conversations, and they do have to happen. And it's horrible so far this season. Absolutely horrible. But we need to have conversations as well about these players. These players are just weak mentality, no confidence, you know, and not playing the way they should. And I think that's a real problem as well. And I don't think there's enough conversations about that. I think we afford a number of these players on the pitch too much protection based on previous. And I think those conversations need to be had as well. Yes, we can start about the lineup and whether Calvin Ramsey should have been in right back and Dom should have been in midfield and Cody should have been on the bench. We can talk till the cows come home about that stuff. And a lot of that stands up to criticism. But like, I don't know what people expect Arne Slot to do if your keeper comes flying out, takes a player out and a penalty is awarded. Whether you agree with the penalty or not, this is what happened. I don't know, can you legislate for a ball breaking to Man City and then them shooting while Allison is up trying to win us a goal off a corner and we've no keeper in the net. And Dom is the guy, the work rate guy, the guy who might get a little bit of pelters and stuff like that. The guy who has been putting in the shift every match for us is the guy who's racing back against Holland to try and keep it at 2-1. The rest of the pitch was empty. It was only Dom that was there. I rest my case. But we'll roll on. We'll roll on, and we're gonna take a look. We're gonna take a look back. Let us know your thoughts as well. How are you feeling as well about the title race, folks? Are Man City going to be good enough to step up and really make this a title race? I don't know. I see Arsenal at the moment growing in confidence. Victor Yerke starting to score goals. Kai Havertz back. There's a lot of quality in that Arsenal squad and stuff like that. And I just don't know. We will see, because it's going to be testy this week, because it's going to be tasty as well, because if City win on Tuesday or Wednesday, I think it is, if they win on Wednesday, Arsenal aren't playing Brentford till Thursday. Brentford doing really well in 7th could potentially jump above Liverpool if Liverpool lose or draw to Sunderland on Wednesday. Big game, big night on Wednesday, of course. So let's see what happens there. But that's a huge game for Brentford at Arsenal on Thursday. And they're a tough team to beat, Brentford. Keith Andrews has done a phenomenal job to the point where it's not talked about enough, except maybe on this podcast. He has done an outstanding job at Brentford. And could that be the difference? Could Man City bring it back to 3 points with a trip to the Etihad still to come for Arsenal? And could Arsenal mess up on Thursday against Brentford and blow this title race wide open? Suddenly it doesn't feel as comfortable as it did when Liverpool were 1-0 up and Arsenal were potentially going 9 points clear at the top. And I said if City were to drop points in this game, it would be game over. Arsenal would have at least one, if not more, hands on the trophy. And to pull back 9 points would be near impossible, even with a game at the Etihad. I don't think it would be enough. But if you have City now on Wednesday, if they win and they come to within 3 points of Arsenal, and Arsenal with Brentford on Thursday, this could get real tasty very, very quick. Fill in the chat. It's Arsenal to lose. Easter will be decisive who wins it. Yeah, absolutely. It always is. Always is. Always is. But when you're sitting there rubbing your hands, yesterday, Phil, 75 minutes, 80 minutes into the Liverpool game, thinking we're going to be 9 points clear tonight. Villa had messed up. City looked like they were going to mess up. And all of a sudden, City win 2-1. Laid on in the game. And the madness of the game. That must have sunk a few Arsenal hearts, that's for sure. But there you go. Let me flick this back so we can go back and look at the fixtures coming up this week. I'll go through them and do a few predictions. Let us know your predictions in the chat as well, folks, if you want, for the fixtures that are coming up. Just want to bring them up here on the screen for me. So we're starting off tomorrow night. Really good games tomorrow night as well. No less West Ham versus Man United. Can they win that 5th one so that lad Frank can get the haircut to United stand? Not too sure. Tough place to go. West Ham looking much more resolute recently as well. Let us know in the chat what you're thinking on that. But we'll kick off, first of all, Chelsea versus Leeds. Can Chelsea continue to build on this push for those top Champions League spots? Or can Leeds continue some decent form? Tough place to go with the Bridge. Cole Palmer showing a bit of form again. Leeds as well coming off a big win against Nottingham Forest. Can they continue some form on the road? I think Chelsea just marginally win this, maybe 2-1. That's what I'm thinking. Everton versus Bournemouth. Bournemouth again with such an indifferent season as well, isn't it? So indifferent as well. But Everton at home at the Hill Dixon has been a real struggle for them, trying to create that Goodison vibe about that new stadium. And by the way, I was over in Liverpool for the Barnsley game, went down, had a look at the stadium. It looks sensational. From the outside, it looks sensational. So no shade being driven here against local city rivals, if you like. Everton versus Bournemouth. Kind of thinking a draw here. Since Ryan Christie's gone back into that Bournemouth side as well, they've looked different. they've looked different gravy and stuff like that. There's a bit about them going forward and stuff. Obviously losing the boys in Mania was absolutely massive. But we shall see Raiola going to the Hill Dixon. It's been a tough season there for Everton so far. Really poor record at home. Draw. Score draw. Spurs versus Newcastle. Spurs without Christian Romero. Newcastle. This is a big game. A lot of heat on Eddie Howe at the moment. Newcastle way off the pace at the minute. A lot of players there just not performing as well. And you expect St. James's to be an absolute fortress. But it hasn't been this season either. Newcastle have been so indifferent. Travelling down to play against Spurs. Spurs already missing a number of players. Now they're going to be missing their captain. Maybe they might look at that. Maybe this is a bonus not having them on the pitch. Who knows? Again, I just see a draw on this one. Score draw, maybe 1-1, 2-2, maybe. And then the big one that we'll all be watching tomorrow night with the United strand on the line, West Ham versus Man United. Again, can Man United, like Chelsea, similar, open up that gap to the teams below them in terms of those Champions League spots? They'll be vying to make it 5 wins in a row. West Ham will be vying to continue their real good form. Under Nuno, he's kind of finding the recipe at the moment, isn't he? And making them very strong. We shall see. 8:15 for that game. All the others are 7:30 kickoffs. Then we go into Wednesday. Aston Villa versus Brighton. Aston Villa win. Aston Villa at home. Brighton on the road and at home. Just so indifferent. You don't know what Brighton to get. But maybe faltering at the weekend. Maybe this is where they go and they start performing. Aston Villa obviously will look to try and put a win on the board as well, just to close that gap against Arsenal and keep them in the conversation. But I see an Aston Villa win here, probably 3-1. Crystal Palace versus Burnley back at Selhurst Park. They'll be looking to get the win here against Burnley after picking up that big win away at the Amex against Brighton in the derby, the Dean Henderson knee slide derby. 7:30 kickoff for both those games as well, folks. I think Palace will beat Burnley. It's going to be a tough run in for Burnley and Burnley fans. I don't see a whole lot in it for them for the rest of the season. Man City will be hosting Fulham. So Man City will be looking to put 3 points on the board here, close that gap to within 3 points against Arsenal, and really test Arsenal's resolve in terms of closing that gap and how Arsenal deal with the added pressure of that. City sniffing around them again on top of that. Again, I don't know whether City can go all the way on this run in and keep that pressure against Arsenal. I don't see Arsenal dropping a huge amount of points, but some games do come up that are quite difficult. They are on Thursday at 8 o'clock away to Brentford. They will know the situation because every other team will have played. So the gap could either be 3 points or 6 points or 5 points, whatever it is. So see can they embrace that pressure of being the leaders and not being that team again that comes off that final bend like in a greyhound race and hits the barrier, hits a wall, and City coast by them. Let's see what happens. Let's see as well with City as well, their performance against Fulham. Let's see, are they going to take the positives from the Liverpool game? Big win at Anfield. Interesting circumstances. Didn't play great either. Didn't play great. I don't think City played well yesterday at all, but got out of there with the points. And sometimes you're going to have games like that. I'm not sure whether beating Liverpool at Anfield at the moment, where Liverpool is at the minute, I'm not sure if that's a measuring yardstick to say that you're in a title race and stuff. City are going to have to put a number of results together in order to convince people that they're in this conversation. But certainly a win on Wednesday night will certainly draw them to within 3 points, and questions will be asked then. Can Arsenal handle the pressure of that? I think City will marginally beat Fulham, probably 3-2, 3-1. Forest versus Wolves. Interesting. Forest at home. I would expect Forest to pick up the win. But I'm not too sure. Wolves, even though they're dead and buried, they're still trying to go out there and perform. But they're going to find it very difficult. Forest have been kind of laboured in recent times. You look at them against Leeds there. I know the conditions were horrific and all, but they looked a bit worn out, I'd say, Nottingham Forest. They didn't look their plucky self, as I'd say. 1-1 draw, maybe. Wolves to get a draw at the City ground, maybe. maybe. Sunderland, Stadium of Light entertaining Liverpool on Wednesday night, 8:15. Big game. A lot of boys going to be on this. This is a weird one. We will do a preview for it in the morning and stuff like that. But this is one of those games where Liverpool could go out and actually perform and shock us, because this is what we've had this season. We've had the disappointment of results, and then they go out and they play really, really well, and then they're crap again, and then they go out and play really well again, and again, it's weird. As Darren said in the build up to the game at the weekend, you just don't know what version of each team you're going to get, and it'll be the same on Wednesday night. Sunderland at home, very, very strong and stuff like that. Great fan base up there as well. Sunderland till I die. Draw. It depends on what the lineup is as well. If he's gone with this hokey stuff again, we can forget about it. And to be honest with you, if we don't have a right back in situ, he might be is he going to be forced now, or are we going to put Curtis Jones in there? I don't know what the problem is with the boy Calvin Ramsey as well. It's really weird, this slot situation at the moment, where we've seen it with Klopp as well, with Reece Williams and Nat Phillips and all, and you're playing Hendo in there, you're playing Fabinho in there, and it was just horrific to watch. And this has shades of that as well. Play the boy; he's a right back. Play him in the right back position. Stop messing around, and let's see how it goes. And revert back to 4-3-3. Put Curtis back in the midfield with the two boys. Let Gravenberch give the protection to the defence if needed, and let the boys go do their thing up front. Big improvement from McAllister. I thought McAllister played well yesterday. I thought Gravenberch kind of got targeted. He was in the wars yesterday and stuff like that. We forgot to mention it during the game as well. That Bernardo Silva tackle on Gravenberch, that one where he clipped him, and he was kicking him in the hip. Talking about a high tackle, he was kicking him in the hip, and it just went like it was nothing, but we shall see. So Sunderland, Liverpool, I'm kind of thinking a draw, which really does nothing for us. And then Brentford versus Arsenal. I think there will be a lot of excitement about this, especially if Man City can get the win against Fulham, and if Villa can win as well. If Villa can pick up their win as well. Where are Villa again? Aston Villa. Where am I? I'm missing them here, am I? Where's Aston Villa? There, against Brighton. So Villa can win on Wednesday and City can win on Wednesday, closing that gap against Arsenal. It might put a little bit of pressure on them, and maybe there might be some little doubts in their minds. I still think Arsenal are going to show up. I think they're going to have too much. But Keith Andrews, don't sleep on Keith Andrews in terms of his coaching of a team through a game and stuff like that. Could Brentford throw a spanner in the works on Thursday night in this Premier League title race? We shall see. We shall see. That's your roundup there, folks. Just before we leave, just once again, I want to mention this fantastic match. QR code on the screen there, Kelly's Heroes. Scan that, brings you straight to Eventbrite to purchase tickets, either match, meet and greet, gala dinners, whatever it is. Check out the tickets there. They're great value and stuff like that. You will have a great day. Already confirmed, Brian McClare, Jason McAteer, Wes Brown, Jermaine Pennant, Stillian Petrov, Jermaine Beckford, Ian Hart, the Yakubu, and Andy Cousins so far, and probably more to be announced as well. QR code down there as well. Get in touch with myself. I'll put you in touch with Tony Brown if you're interested in some sponsorship stuff. But come along on the day. You'll have a lot of fun. Mark will be there with the trophies. We'll be there with the podcast, and we'll have a lot of fun on the day as well. Until next time, folks, this is your Monday mashup. Marky didn't make it. He obviously got caught up in town or whatever it is, but no bother. We will get his thoughts next time he's on about the game. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notification button. We burst through 1,600 subs there the other day, so really appreciate anyone who's subbing. Hope you're enjoying the wrestling content on there as well, and all the shorts we're putting up. We are putting in a shift. There's a couple of new shows coming your way as well that people are working on in the background and stuff like that as well. So keep an eye on that. I will be back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Pro Wrestling Weekly. We're on the road to the Elimination Chamber in Chicago. The Punk versus the Prince, Part 2. Let's see what happens there, especially with them confirming the main event for WrestleMania. Seems like it's already spoiled, but we shall see. We will talk about tomorrow night. Full review of Raw. We'll talk about all the other wrestling news that's out there as well with the panel. Until next time, folks. Have a great evening. Chat to you tomorrow night. Cheers.